Hi, my name is Shannon Costello and I'm a registered dietitian with Corporate Fitness Works. Today we're in my home kitchen and we are going to simmer up a stuffed bell pepper soup. I love soups because you can basically throw anything in your pantry or fridge in one pot and make it tasty and a very hearty meal. This is a really great dish in particular because you can adapt it to the way you like it. Change up the animal protein, make it vegetarian, add more or different veggies, try different seasonings. You can make it different every time. This soup is loaded with plenty of protein, fiber, and great nutrients. Of course, we'll be using several different bell peppers, all different colors. These are very high in vitamin C, vitamin A, potassium, and the B vitamin folate. Not to mention they're a vegetable, so they're already high in fiber and low in calories. Try to buy a few different colors because each color has its own nutrient profile and flavor. Red is going to be the sweetest, orange and yellow are a little less sweet, and then green is the least sweet. You have your choice of protein in the soup. You can use ground beef, ground chicken, or ground turkey. If you're choosing beef, look for the leanest variety such as a 95:5 ratio, which indicates there's only 5% fat in the meat. If you're choosing chicken or turkey, you also want to choose the leanest option, but also look for those that are low in sodium, as most processing will add salt or use a saltwater brine to help with flavor. You'll get plenty of low sodium flavor with the other natural ingredients in this soup. You can also make this soup meatless by using canned beans. Choose from black beans, white beans, pinto, or red kidney beans. Beans will provide plenty of protein as well as additional fiber and key minerals like zinc and iron. Just be sure to drain and rinse the beans before adding them to the soup to get rid of any excess sodium or can residue. Typically baked stuffed peppers also get stuffed with rice. So we'll be using some brown rice in here as a complex carbohydrate and great source of energy. You can also use quinoa instead of rice, which is an ancient grain that's pretty high in protein too. These are both types of whole grains which contain more fiber and more vitamins and minerals than refined grains such as white rice. This soup is going to have a ton of flavor. We're going to have some diced onions, some minced garlic, dried oregano. We'll season with a little bit of salt and pepper, some low sodium vegetable broth. Then we have some reduced salt or no salt added crushed tomatoes. So make sure when you're purchasing both your broth and your tomatoes that you're looking for that term no salt added or low in sodium. Both of these ingredients are going to be naturally high in sodium. And like I said, combination of all these ingredients is going to already add flavor. So we don't need the food industry to add extra salt to our diet. So go ahead and start prepping all your ingredients, mincing the garlic, draining, rinsing beans, measuring out ingredients. And then we're going to learn how to cut our bell pepper. This is called the box method. First, you want to cut off the stem so that you can place it on a flat surface. And then starting from the center, we're just going to go along the curve of the bell pepper to meet the stem on the bottom. We're basically working around the seeds. And we're going to have minimal waste left here. It's okay to have this white skin part on. It just doesn't have a ton of flavor, but it still has the nutrients of the bell pepper. So we'll just discard the middle there. And then when you go to dice or even just to keep these in strips for, fajitas, sauteing, stir fries, you want this skin side to be down because it's a little more difficult to cut through. Make sure you keep your fingertips curled in, and we'll just cut these in thin strips. These are called julienne strips. And then gather them together, turn them the opposite way, and we'll go ahead and dice through. They don't have to be perfect squares for soup recipes because it's going to simmer in the liquid, so they'll all get the same texture anyways. Start with a large stock pot over medium heat, and then once it's hot, we'll go ahead and add some olive oil to coat the pan and let that heat up for a little bit. You can also use avocado oil, a neutral oil here. All right, and then we'll start by adding our diced onions. and diced bell peppers. We already know that it's ready to go because we hear that olive oil sizzling. So we'll give that some stir so that everything's coated in the oil. And depending on the size of your stock pot, how much surface area there is, you might need to continue giving this a stir quite a few times while it cooks. That way everything gets softened evenly, I should say. And this will take about 5 to 7 minutes. So just check on it every so often, keep stirring, and let the onions kind of turn that translucent color. Okay, so once our peppers and onions are soft, we're going to add in our garlic and our seasonings. So as a tip, never pour your seasonings straight from the jar over the heat because the steam can go into the jar and then cause caking and ruin your seasoning. So always measure off to the side. So there's our oregano. And then we'll just toss this around. At this point, if you're using ground meat or poultry, you would also add it here with the garlic, okay? So you're gonna let that cook until it's no longer pink and the internal temperature reaches about 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, if you're not using ground meat or poultry, then we'll just let the garlic toast a little bit, get fragrant, and then add our canned beans, toss those in, and this is really just to warm them through and let all the flavors absorb together. Now once your meat, poultry, or beans are cooked through, we'll start adding our liquids, so the broth and the crushed and diced tomatoes. So be very careful as you lower those into the stock pot, making sure that they don't splash. And we're gonna let this simmer for about 40 minutes. So once all your liquids are added in, you can bring up the heat a little bit if needed, but we want this to come to a low boil. And then we will add our rice. So we'll wait for that. Okay, so it's come to a boil and I've already reduced the heat to a simmer. And now we will add our brown rice. And this is also a good time if you want to throw in some dark leafy greens like kale or collard greens. You can put those in here while it simmers and they'll soften up, making it easier for some digestion. So we'll stir that in, keep it at a simmer, cover it with our lid, and again that's going to simmer for about 40 minutes and we'll come back and check on it. And here we are after about 40 minutes of the rice simmering. This kitchen smells delicious. So we're ready to serve this warm with optional garnishes like some shredded cheese, whatever kind you'd like, fresh parsley or cilantro, or my personal favorite is some diced avocado. Add a little extra black pepper, oregano to the top. A very hearty lunch and satisfying dinner that you can easily pair with a sandwich, a side salad, or yummy cornbread. Be sure to let any leftovers cool completely before storing them. This will keep in the refrigerator for up to 4 to 5 days and is a great freezer-friendly meal. If you're storing it in the freezer, use a large enough container that you can keep at least a ½ inch free at the top of the liquid because liquids do expand when they freeze. Or you can store them in a sealable plastic bag and lay flat in the freezer, again saving a little bit of wiggle room in the bag. Enjoy!